The 2025 French MotoGP was a bitter pill to swallow for Pecco Bagnaia. Amidst high expectations and the pressure of being a two-time world champion, Pecco performed poorly, falling back to 16th place and returning home without a single point. This situation not only shook the rider's mentality, but also caused panic in the Ducati camp. No wonder that voices from within the team began to be heard, including senior test rider Michele Pirro, who this time did not hesitate to reveal sharp technical assessments, while also offering options that could surprise many parties. So is this a sign that Ducati's confidence in Pecco is beginning to waver? Let's discuss it. It is undeniable that Bagnaia's performance throughout the 2025 season has been far from consistent. Since his last victory in the American MotoGP, Pecco has continued to struggle in the shadow of Marc Marquez, his teammate who has actually performed brilliantly with the Ducati GP25. The high point came at Le Mans. In wet conditions, Bagnaia, who had chosen an aggressive strategy on wet tires, was involved in an incident at the start of the race, colliding with Enea Bastianini, his former teammate. A promising strategy ended in disaster, and Ducati had to accept the fact that their hero went home without points. A promising weekend has turned negative. Now we all have to work together to help Pecco regain his smile and his confidence, said a concerned Gigi Dall'Igna, general manager of Ducati Corse. Since the start of the 2025 season, Pecco Bagnaia has repeatedly expressed his discomfort with the character of the GP25 bike. This new bike, which on paper is an evolution of the GP24 that brought him the World Championship title, actually feels alien and difficult to control. Unlike last season, when he felt completely at one with the Ducati machine, this time Pecco seemed to have lost his intuitive connection with the bike. According to him, the front of the bike, which had always been his mainstay for aggressive maneuvers and precise braking, now gave a response that did not match his racing style. He felt that the bike was no longer talking to him, making it difficult for him to understand the limits of the bike's capabilities on the track. This condition had an impact on Pecco's inconsistent performance throughout the first series of the season. With high expectations placed on him as the defending champion, the reality on track was an up-and-down performance that left many question marks. In the Ducati garage, a big question began to emerge. Was the main source of the problem the technical design of the GP25 itself, or Bagnaia's ability to adapt to this latest generation of bike? This situation is clearly a serious dilemma for Ducati. Amidst the dominance of other riders who are starting to find their rhythm with the GP25, Bagnaia's position is indeed under increasing pressure. And if the rider and the bike do not find a common denominator soon, the Ducati team's title defense ambitions could come to an end sooner than expected. In a recent interview that caught the attention of the MotoGP public, Michele Pirro finally addressed the controversy surrounding the performance of the Ducati riders, particularly Pecco Bagnaia. As the chief test rider and central figure in the development of the GP25, Piro was frank and confident in his views. He insisted that there was not much difference between the Ducati GP25 and the GP24. According to him, the technical changes between this season's bike and last year's version are more subtle and should not be used as a scapegoat for the less than optimal performance of the riders. What makes the difference, says Piro, is the way each rider sets up his bike. It's not that he doesn't have an old bike available. So if he wants, he can go back to last year's bike, said Piro, referring directly to the GP24 that Pecco Bagnaia was rumored to want to use again due to difficulties adapting to the GP25. However, Piro insisted that this was not the real solution. He recalled that changing bikes would not immediately solve deeper problems. I don't think it's necessary to do that, he continued. In the test we saw, it's not the bike that makes the difference. It's the adjustment and the mentality. What needs to be changed is the approach, not just the tools used. With this statement, Piro seems to be emphasizing that the biggest challenge at the moment is not the GP25 technology, but the rider's mental readiness and adaptability to face the increasingly fierce competitive dynamics. Herein lies the undeniable and striking difference. Marc Marquez, just starting his first season with Ducati, has shown an extraordinary ability to adapt to the complex characteristics of the GP25. He has tamed a bike that many riders have described as difficult to ride, not with raw power but with a cautious approach and a mature strategy. What Marquez did was not just a technical adaptation, it was a reading of the situation and a deep understanding of the dynamics of the bike and the race. While other riders were still trying to understand the behavior of the GP25 in certain conditions, Marquez had already made it submit to his own racing rhythm. Michele Pirro, Ducati's test rider, highlighted Marquez's performance in the Le Mans series as an example of exceptional racing intelligence. After making a mistake in Jerez, the baby alien was much more cautious in France. Resisting the urge to take excessive risks, he opted to play it safe in a race full of traps and potential incidents. What we have seen is that Ducati is very competitive in all conditions. But, as often happens, small incidents can drastically change the course of the race, said Piro. Marquez has shown that he learns from his mistakes. He knows when to attack and when to take a step back to save important points. It's not just about speed, it's also about racing wisdom. Marquez's ability to adapt quickly, control his emotions and read the racing moment with precision is what makes him different. Adaptation is not just an advantage, it has become the main weapon that keeps him relevant and dangerous, even in a new environment like Ducati. Pecco Bagnaia's current situation has put Ducati in a complex and stressful dilemma. As a two-time world champion and a symbol of the success of the Desmocedicai project in recent years, Bagnaia is clearly a major asset to the team. Ducati certainly cannot ignore the performance crisis that is currently affecting their star. On the one hand, they have a moral and strategic responsibility to help Bagnaia return to his best form. After all, he is the face of the ambitious GP25 project and one of the symbols of the Italian manufacturer's glory in the modern MotoGP era. On the other hand, the reality on the track speaks loudly. Ducati cannot, and must not, sacrifice the overall direction of the GP25's development just to accommodate one riding style. Moreover, at the same time, other riders like Marc Marquez are performing exceptionally well on the same bike, demonstrating the strength of the technical package developed by the engineers at Borgo Panigale. If Ducati focuses too much on one individual, they risk losing the balance and harmony of a large squad that now includes 8 talented riders with different styles, characters and needs. Michele Pirro, a senior test rider who has been with the Ducati project for more than a decade, reminds us that today's Ducati bikes are not identical factory products coming off the assembly line. Although the technological basis is the same, each Desmocedicai is developed with specific adaptations to the unique character of the rider who will ride it. From the electronic settings to the ergonomics, from the weight distribution to the feel of the tires and the chassis, everything can be modified according to the rider's wishes. That's why the results between one Ducati rider and another can be so different, even though they're riding bikes with almost identical technical specifications, says Piro. In other words, if a rider isn't getting the most out of the package, it's not necessarily because the bike is going in the wrong direction. It's because the fit between man and machine hasn't reached its optimum yet. This is what makes the situation in the Ducati garage so complicated. The technical team has a dual role to play, to push the boundaries of the GP25's technological development together, while at the same time making sure that each rider feels heard, understood and equipped with the right tools to fight. Egos, expectations and internal dynamics are now a battlefield in themselves, beyond what's seen on the track. Will he continue to try to force the GP25 to his liking? Or will he return to the GP24, as Piro has hinted? Let us know below.